Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the FPL Watchlist here with Fantasy Football Scout. The international break is almost over. Once Thursday comes around and we start to get press conferences and updates and stuff like that, it feels like the international break is officially over. So we are going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about Erling Haaland's 5 goals. We're going to be talking about injury updates and what we're going to do with our team now that things have settled down a little bit after 3 rollercoaster weeks. But before we dive in, Tom, how are we doing?
Very well, thanks. Happy to be back and happy that FPL was back this weekend. Hope you had a good holiday as well.
Thank you. And Stephen, how are we doing?
Yeah, good to be back. Happy the international break is finally over, especially as an Ireland fan.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't watch any England games. One thing, unless it's an international tournament, international break is, what happened? All right, Haaland scored 5. All right, England won. That's about it.
Reece James is fit. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and Reece James stayed fit. It's the most important thing.
Started twice.
I know, more than he's ever done for us, it seems, at the moment. But we'll be talking about fixture congestion a little bit because, of course, after game week 4, we have the start of the Champions League. We also have the Europa League starting in a couple of weeks and the Conference League. So lots of teams, 9 Premier League teams in Europe this season. So there is going to be an even bigger focus on potential rotation, potential minutes, and holding your transfers until everyone you own has played during mid-week. We don't really have points to discuss because game week 3 was quite a while ago and we did it in last week's video. So if you want to go and see how we're doing, feel free to go and check that back. If not, we'll cover it in our stream next week. We're going to dive straight in and we've got Murillo up on screen, but I think we should just start by a general discussion on Ange Postecoglou taking over at Tottenham Hotspur at Nottingham Forest, previously at Tottenham Hotspur with Nuno leaving. I think the general consensus is I don't think you can find 2 managers more spread apart in the way they want to play football between the two. So it's around how do we think Forest are going to be able to adapt, and do we give our Forest players that we've got Burnley and Sunderland in game week 5 and 6, or do we use this Arsenal away fixture as an opportunity to jump ship? So, Stephen, I'll come to you first. First of all, who do you own from Forest at the moment?
So I own Williams, and yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what to think about this move because, like you said, the 2 managers couldn't be more different. And I've seen some people arguing, Ange can play, a very compact defensive structure as he did against United in the Europa League final. But I just don't see him playing like it's the Europa League final every game in the Premier League. And I do think we will slowly but surely see this Forest defence have a pretty high line. So they're going to be moving up the pitch bit by bit as the game weeks go on. And that's something I'm quite nervous about as a Williams owner.
Yeah, I think there is some data that shows when he first joined Spurs, it wasn't quite as bad as like it was by the end of it. And actually for the first few months, defensively, they weren't bad. And going forward, they actually weren't. It was slightly more defensive approach compared to the attacking approach, which he ended with, which is interesting to see because, we all have that vision in our mind that that's all he does is want to attack. And we'll see whether that is something. Because as you say, they don't really it doesn't feel like they have the squad. Like Milenkovic is the one that people pick apart a lot, as well as Sells, the 2 that are getting a lot of discussion, that they don't feel like they're built to play football the way that Ange does yet. Tom, how are you feeling on this move?
Yeah, it's tricky because there's a few chicken and egg questions. It's like Stephen says the line wasn't that high. Oh, sorry, you just said it was started differently last time, and then he obviously got loads of injuries in that Chelsea game. But then some people say that he causes the injuries because of how he plays, and the same happened at Celtic. So we'll have to see. And then obviously the Forest squad, it's like, are they actually suited to it? I mean, we saw Milenkovic have to track back a bit against England and he kind of got sent off, so it's not the best audition, but obviously that's one incident. Like you look at the depth players, they don't really have another centre back who can come in and play a high line, so you would think that as a professional football manager, Postecoglou would, he would obviously recognise this and he's not going to go to the Emirates and tear everything up.
Surely not. Surely not.
Surely not. And then it's Sunderland and Burnley, in which case, he can probably afford to be a little bit more aggressive. And then there's obviously questions like Chris Wood. Does he still fancy him? I mean, Chris Wood is Nuno's man, but they've obviously got Igor Jesus as well. And then there's Forest fans who were telling me yesterday that they've already been making adjustments under Nuno, and their possession, had more of the ball in all of their first 3 games, I think. Someone told me.
Yeah.
So, and they bought a few players to kind of help Nuno transition a bit, or it turns out not Nuno, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think how hard do you think Ange is going to go early doors?
I think I'm in the minority that I don't think he will early doors. I think particularly against Arsenal, we'll see. I imagine we see a very similar Forest team to what we're used to. I think maybe against Burnley and Sunderland, he might try and start to implement a few things, but on the counter, he needs to win those games, right? Burnley away, Sunderland at home. Forest needs 6 points from those 2 games. So he doesn't want to go tearing it up and it not work straight away. And then suddenly he's lost 2 of his first 3 and walks into a really difficult run of fixtures. So there is a few things that I don't think he'll go gung-ho. I'm a Chris Wood owner and I'm not particularly worried. Like, yes, he might not fully fit his system, but Chris Wood is a goal scorer and he might not be quite as mobile as maybe he's used to in the past, but I can't see him changing that straight away. Like, he's not going to walk in and suddenly take out Chris Wood, who scored more goals in that Forest team over the past 18 months than any other player has. Just seems a ludicrous thing to him. It's like, since Nuno took over, isn't he like the second highest goal scorer in the whole league, only behind Haaland or something, or only behind Salah? For him to just walk in and take him out straight away feels like I just can't see it at all. So I'm a Chris Wood owner. I don't love it this week. I think I plan on probably keeping him for Burnley and Sunderland. I think the defence is slightly more difficult. And I think if you're on free hit 6, it feels pretty straightforward. If you want to sell, you can sell this week. Because then you go away to Burnley and then you can free hit them in for Sunderland. Sorry. But yes, if you're not on free hit 6.
That's right, you have a drink, Harry.
Yeah. I think, I agree. I don't think Chris Wood is going to, I think he'll be in the starting 11 and I can see him staying there. I was very surprised by the timing of this decision from the Forest board, because usually when you sack a manager, you do it right after a difficult fixture and right before, like, let's say Burnley, Sunderland, but they're throwing Ange in at the deep end with this Arsenal fixture. Usually they try to tee them up with a nice one. I think as FPL managers, it's perfect timing for us because it lets us wait a week to see, we would probably bench most of our Forest players against Arsenal anyways. So we get a free week to see what they kind of look like, even as people who own them already. I'm quite happy with the timing of this, so we can see how it looks. And then, I think with Forest in general, no matter what, if it's a defender, attacker, midfielder in your FPL team, it's a hold if you have them and avoid if you don't.
So one of the big ones, right, is Murillo to Munoz this week. And it's all well and good. It might depend a little bit on what you've got the rest of your lineup, but even though we think that they still could do well in the next 2, that's surely really tempting, right?
Well, I've got Murillo. It's hard to say because I also have Chris Richards, who I'm playing, and I'm benching Murillo. I probably wouldn't sell him before Burnley and Sunderland. But if he's in your team and you're thinking, he might get DEFCONs, then probably would go to Munoz, yeah.
My question with that move is, how good is the rest of your defence that you can sell a player with Burnley and Sunderland in 2 of the next 3? Like, surely there's another player you can get out for Munoz and then bench Murillo this week.
Yeah, I suppose it's if you've got nothing in the bank, right? That it's a straight sideways swap. I don't know. I feel slightly more positive on it. That if you've got nothing else to do in your team and you're sat there with Murillo, I don't think there's any. I think I probably would make the move, but again, it depends a little bit on what you're going to do in 6. Because if you're buying Munoz, you've suddenly got Liverpool in 6, whereas you've got Sunderland at home for Murillo. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would, if you had to say who scores more points over the next 3, if you had to play them in all 3, I'd probably bat Munoz over Murillo, I say.
Yeah, that's probably fair because you could get a goal this week from Munoz and then it's this easy win. What about Milenkovic? It's hard to see how he drops any. I don't think he's going to drop these guys, right? Because who do they have behind them? Like Willy Bolly and Morato.
Olorino also went off injured
I
during the
saw
international
that.
break,
Yeah.
didn't he? Yeah. Which I think is a boost to Williams because I think Williams will now go right back versus normally playing out of position on the left. But how long that lasts for, we'll have to wait for an update on him. I don't see huge changes to the lineup yet.
You think Anderson will still be good?
I wouldn't buy Anderson now.
He may have a lot more work to do in the midfield, so
He
I could
might hit
see
12
it.
DEFCON now.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he'll get that one extra DEFCON every game
Yeah.
now. We'll see.
Douglas
Did you see
Luiz, do
he?
you think he could come in or?
I just like no. I just think if you've got Forest, it's when you sell them. Not no one's buying Forest new now. I don't think.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you want to move off the defenders, I have no problem with it. You two Stephen feels slightly more reluctant than I do, but that's fair. Depends on free. If you're on free at 6, then I would definitely look to sell them this week, I think.
I would agree with that as well. But yeah, I think I just look at those two fixtures with Burnley and Sunderland, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. It's kind of like the Aston Villa thing. I know I'm moving on to a different topic, but like you just keep holding those players
Yeah.
because they have great fixtures.
What about
I agree.
Sells? Well, how do you feel about Sells? I think I'm not convinced that he's going to be a great asset anymore.
No. But where'd you go?
Sanchez. Not being biased,
Yeah,
but I
but-
think Sanchez is the best keeper in the FPL. I mean, Raya is coming into good fixtures.
Yeah, but then like you look at Raya for the next 3 versus Sales for the next 3.
Yeah, you'd probably after 6. I'm not convinced you're selling much before 6, even.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think defensively it's fine. I'm not sure I'd move the goalkeeper because I'm not even sure the Chelsea next 3 fixtures are like next 4 or 5 are that great. So I probably would hold off on Sales.
Yeah, you'd probably wait for Raya. Zinchenko could come in for Aina if he's injured for a bit. Obviously makes Williams good. But yeah, I agree with you. It probably depends if you're free hitting because then you lose one of the good fixtures anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Another cheap defender, one that I feel very likely that I'm going to buy this week, is at Bournemouth, one of the few defenders to hit, one of the few players in the league to hit DEFCON 3 times already this season, is Senesi. Now the transfer window has shut, who looks pretty nailed. Of course, Bournemouth, the team we pretty much wrote off at the beginning of the season, and suddenly we're all looking to buy as many of their players as we can. Brighton at home, Newcastle at home, Leeds away, Fulham at home in the next 4 does look pretty good. Attacking data is all right. He does have a pretty good record for Bournemouth in terms of goals and assists. His DEFCON is like, he's not just hitting it. He's joint highest for total DEFCON metrics across the league with Van Dijk with 14 per match, which is just like, he's not just creeping over the line, like he's hitting it comfortably. And like, if you look at all the data last year, it was Dean Howson was so good for DEFCON for Bournemouth last year. And he's not there. And it feels a little bit like Senesi is taking that mantra a little bit. So, I mean, I really like him. I think he'll probably be one of my transfers in this week. I suppose the question, you've got Richards, Tom, is in and around that price. You're probably looking at Senesi, Richards, Anderson, Mark Gay, all at the same price. If you had to pick one of those, does Senesi come out on top because of his DEFCON?
He would do now, yeah. I went with Richards and Anderson in the at the start of the season. Obviously, it depends a bit on when you want to play him, but as you can see with the fixtures on screen, Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds, Fulham, you don't mind playing Senesi any time, really. But obviously, you got the DEFCON buffer. I picked him on the free hit in Game Week 2, and he was really good. He's a great pick. 5 goals, 4 assists. It was his last full season when he started, so not last year, the year before. He already got an assist against Spurs. He's a great pick. I guess, are you looking? As I said, it depends when you actually want to play him because like Anderson's got 2 good games now, hasn't he? If you need urgent reinforcements, he's got Leeds and then somebody else
Brentford.
I can't remember. Leeds and Brentford at home.
Yeah.
I really like the phrase you used there, Tom, DEFCON buffer, because it sort of like negates fixtures to an extent. Because it's like, okay, Brighton and Newcastle, I could see Bournemouth conceding in both of those games, definitely the Newcastle game. But you have that buffer of like, he's probably going to get DEFCON if he continues on with this 14 per game average. And yeah, I think players like Senesi, it just opens up the discussion of like a four at the back, which I think is it's like anti FPL, but it's definitely an option this season that we're seeing the team of the season so far is actually a five at the back.
Yeah, I might play a four at the back next week, and it might not include Senesi. He might be the fifth. My defense looks so good out of nowhere next week. So
You got Munoz,
yeah,
you got Palace covered, right?
I don't have Munoz. No, I have Palace.
So you're not tempted by Chris Richards?
So I think Munoz and Lacroix are better than Senesi, but I don't think Richards and Gay are at the same price. Because I think the
would agree,
DEFCON
yeah.
puts Senesi above the other two. Like, I think the Palace guys will probably keep slightly more clean sheets, but I think they are so far short in terms of DEFCON, and like they've hit it in games that they've had, but I don't know how regularly like Chris Richards is going to hit DEFCON at home to Sunderland. So I just think Senesi is able to hit it whoever he's playing, whether the fixture is difficult or easy. So if I'm going at that price, I think I like Senesi the most out of them.
Better goal threat as well. So you're hitting two pluses, DEFCON's and goal threat. So
Yeah.
better than the fullback at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Truffer.
Just like Senesi's hit it 3 times out of 3, right? But he's not going to hit it 38 times. But if he hits it 20, 25 times, Truffer's got to hit like 15 assists.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, when you
So-
start to equate like DEFCON to assists, it just makes it ridiculous. It's a ridiculous comparison. Like I think it was Tarkowski if they had the equivalent of 14 assists last season. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a look at the Bournemouth. I think Senesi's baseline bonus is really high as well. Let me have a look. Yeah, Semenyo's is also high, but Senesi out of all the defenders has by far the highest like baseline bonus for all the Bournemouth defenders. So, that's why we've seen him get bonus in the 2 of the first 3 games as well. Like he's already picked up 4 bonus points. So I really like him, and I think he's one of those a bit like Anderson. I think we'll be able to hold for quite a long time, and he's able to cover as and when you need him to. And the fixtures until I wildcard do look pretty good for Bournemouth. So it's just who I sell to buy him is the question for me. But yeah, I really like him.
Well,
Yeah,
definitely let me know, Harry, because someone in my Twitter says I was just copying your moves. So if you can let me know in advance, it'll make that a lot easier for me.
Well, we'll talk about who I might sell when we get to my team at the end, because I got a few options, and a lot of it will revolve around, which midfielder I want to buy, because both of us have got a Ismail Assar problem. There are lots of good midfielders that we can look at. Semenyo at Bournemouth, one of them. Jack Grealish, another. Ilman and Dye. We've spoken about Xavi Simons. You've got Lucas Paqueta in there. But, I mean, we can start by talking about Jack Grealish. 4 assists in 2 starts for them. 0.59 XA per 90. Goal threat a little bit lower. Like, you're probably going to be needing to rack up a lot of assists. You might get the odd goal out of him, but it's really that sort of big chance created that you can see there. DEFCON per 90 is not actually been that bad, but I don't expect he hits it that regularly. Is Grealish one that you're considering as a SAR replacement, Stephen? Have you got eyes elsewhere?
No, yeah, he's definitely on the list, dare I say, near the very top of it. But it's for me, Grealish is like the nostalgia pick. Like everyone remembers what he was like when he played for Villa, and obviously great value for his price if he keeps this up. But I just think that Ndiaye is also very interesting and potentially a better FPL pick because I mean he's on pens, so it's just a huge point in his favor. And also he's much more of a goal scorer, you could say, than Grealish. Like if Grealish is the one setting it up, you could see Ndiaye being the one finishing it off. So I really like Grealish as a pick. I think he's a good pick. I just think that Ndiaye is slightly better.
Tom, how do you feel? You don't need a midfielder, really, do you?
No, I don't, because I got Dewsbury Hall.
There you go.
You just get Dewsbury Hall, save yourself some money. No, I think I agree with Stephen. I think like every time someone talks about Grealish, I think he's great, but I just don't see why you wouldn't get Ndiaye on penalties, goal threat. save point two as well. I don't know. It's like Grealish is kind of doing what Grealish like we thought he'd do. He's free. He's playing really well. He's beating his man, and then it's Ndai and Dewsbury Hall and Beto who are going to benefit. And obviously 4 assists and 2, he's going to cool off a little bit. And he can't play in game week 8, which is you're not going to play him anyway. But it's kind of like, again, that's just another little plus point for Ndai. Because obviously he can't play against Man City. And that is actually a bench boost week for a few people as well, so something to bear in mind. But you might be buying one of them then.
I like Ndai. I think I'd go Ndai over Grealish if I had to pick one. But also that little bit of money is quite useful to me when we go and have a look at it. I think they're both good. I do think they are both worth it over Dewsbury Hall. I don't think Dewsbury Hall is a bad pick at 5 million at all, but I think Ndai and Grealish will comfortably outscore him.
Yeah, I would agree
over
with
the end
that
of
for
the
the
season.
record, yeah.
But like at 5 million, Dewsbury Hall is the best player at his price, right? We're not comparing Grealish to Dewsbury Hall, really. We're comparing Dewsbury Hall to other 5 millions and 5.5 millions, and at that price, he looks great. So I have no problem with Dewsbury Hall, but I think I would go Ndai over Grealish. The others that I've just throw a few names out there. We've spoken about Bournemouth, right? Semenyo, he's looked great. Semenyo's always been one of those players that I feel like is frustrated to own. I don't know if you two feel the same when you've owned him in previous seasons. He just never quite seems to have the output that I want him to, despite looking great. He is one I'm having a look at. He's up to 7.4 million now, though, which makes me a little bit reluctant to buy him. But that being said, Bournemouth's fixtures are good. He looks great. I can't really find any reason not to buy him apart from he's wasted chances before.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that price just continuing to rise, and it just puts you off it because you're like, oh, I would have bought him before if I had the chance.
Yeah.
But then the question becomes like, what price does he have to be where it's like, oh no, I'm definitely not getting him now. And I don't think 7.4 is that price. I also don't think 7.5 is. And you could see him just rising by the end of the season. He's like 8 million. You're like, okay, now where do I go? So you'll look back at 7.4 and you'll be like, what a bargain I got him for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Harry, because like he's quite streaky and he takes a lot of shots and he's not the most clinical. But I mean, last season he got 18 returns in 36 starts, so 1 in every 2. He actually outperformed his XG last year as well. And then this year...
He does feel like one of those players that you have to play in every fixture or you will miss his returns. Just like game week 1. Like, so many of us would have... If game week 1 was halfway through the season, we'd have seen Liverpool away and we'd probably have benched him for someone else and we'd have missed his returns. He does feel like that type of player that he's not a flat track bully. If anything, he feels a little bit like the opposite.
Yeah, but also like we have to say he's actually improved a bit this year. Like players can improve, and he might have improved. He's obviously got a new contract. I think he knows that there's a move on the cards at some point if he wants it. He's probably like the next big thing after Mbomo and Cunha. Like, I just think he's good because you look at his fixtures. He's got City and Villa in 10 and 11. He scored against City last year, as you just said, as well, harder fixtures. And then he's got West Ham, Sunderland, Everton, like all the way up to game week 14. He's just a really solid asset.
So I have, in doing a bit of stuff for Semenyo, I have looked at a few of these things. They play Bournemouth at home after they play Thursday night. It is Tel Aviv, but it is after Europa League fixture on the Thursday for Spurs, and I think it's the same for the Man City fixture, that it is straight after a European midweek as well, whereas of course Bournemouth will be fully rested.
Newcastle's after they play Barca as well.
Yeah, the only one that's not great is when they play Palace. Oh no, it's straight before City play Dortmund in Champions League. The Palace one falls straight after the international break, but that's not the end of the world. But that Villa fixture in particular, I wouldn't worry too much about that because it falls pretty nicely in terms of, like, I don't think that's a red fixture at all, which I think is what the FDR puts it down as. So yeah, the long-term fixtures for them until like the wild card in game week 13, if that's where you're going, does look really nice, that you could just take him and just hold him for that whole run.
I mean, I'm going to buy him next week, so that's where what I think about him.
Oh, I feel like you've so many transfers banked. Like it's,
I've
I
got a
feel
plan
like
this
last
I'm
year
year.
buying
you
this person
mentioned,
this week, and
This
then Tom's
year,
like, "Oh, I'm
I've got
buying
a
Haaland
plan.
in 6."
yeah,
This year, I've looked ahead. I've got a plan. I'm gonna stick to it. That's how I'm
I love
playing.
that,
I'm
love that,
trying to actually do well this year. No emotion. I'm not playing with emotion this year.
love that.
One more name to throw out for this sort of midfield bracket before we probably look at our teams and talk through some of it is Paqueta. Feels being described as the mini Bruno. 5.9 million now. He's had a price drop. It looks pretty good for DEFCON on penalties. Takes the odd set piece. Fixtures between now and that sort of game week 13 window are pretty good, and they get pretty good from like game week 8, 9 onwards. So you can have him short term, but he's pretty good as a long term pick. Nice price at 5.9. It's the whole thing. He's never done it before though. He's never been consistent enough as a pick, and he's never scored enough goals. But his price, if he is on penalties, if he's playing 90 every week, it's just if West Ham can keep up what they did in game week 3. But then, like, they scored 3 goals in the last 5 minutes. That was very nearly like a 0-0 game, and then we're not. No, none of us are buying him.
Do you know how many attacking returns he got in 27 starts last year?
2.
5.
I thought it was. I thought it was 5 goals. Or yeah.
4 goals, 1
I
assist.
feel like
I
we
thought
could
he's better
almost,
than that.
you could almost look at him as more of like a DEFCON player though, because if you remember in preseason, we're looking at the likes of like Elliot Anderson, and it's like, okay, he gets DEFCON
Yeah.
and the additional few attacking returns. I feel like Paqueta is almost like that, but more on the attacking side. So I do like him as a pick actually, because when you watch West Ham games, he's so involved. And I like players like that where they're just on the ball and constantly involved in the game. I feel like he represents a lot of good value at his price when you combine the full picture of his DEFCON potential too.
He averaged
Do you
over
prefer?
10
Sorry,
DEFCONs
go on.
last year a game, and this year he's going at over 10 as well.
Yeah, it just feels a little bit like, as you say, that Bruno pick. The same reason that we're picking Bruno. Paqueta feels like he's doing similar stuff. How do you feel on him versus someone like an Ndai then, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to what you what you feel as a FPL manager. Ndai is probably the higher upside player than Paqueta. So on any given day, you would expect Ndai to have a higher ceiling. But I wouldn't be surprised if over the course of the season, if Paqueta, stays fit, that he could outscore someone like Ndai with the additional DEFCON points that he gets just because he's so involved in the games that, and like Tom said, he had over 10 average last season. So I do see the introduction of DEFCON for a player like Paqueta. It's like, at the same time, how much do we want to pay for a DEFCON player? But he is like a Bruno Fernandes in that sense. So I do actually prefer him over Ndai because I think it's really close, but then you get to save a bit of money.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I want to ask you guys about Reinders because I feel like we're just going down and down in price. Like, we might as well save it. And we'll talk about Josh King maybe in a minute. But, like, Reinders, Harry, you own him. Like, after game week 1, you obviously a million transfers in, the best player in the game.
Yeah.
Nothing since then. Do you think Paqueta's better than Reinders, for example?
I would buy Paqueta before Reinders without thinking twice about it. I think Paqueta is so much of a better pick than Reinders now.
Interesting. Didn't think you'd say that.
He just has so much more going for him. Doesn't have Europe, although the Marmoush injury, I think, boosts Reinders.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think we'll see a similar lineup to what we saw in game week 1. I think we'll see Doku come back in. And the issue with Marmoush, when he plays out on the left, he comes central so much. So Reinders doesn't have that space. Whereas when it's Doku stays out on that left wing and Reinders has much more space. So I actually do think that injury boosts him. But I would buy Paqueta over Reinders. I'd buy Paqueta over Anderson without like a moment's hesitation.
I think it's interesting as well when we consider like the Isak transfer. I feel like that should come into our thinking too when we look at, let's say, Sar replacements because there's so many exciting midfield replacements for Sar, like the ones we mentioned, Semenyo, Grealish, and Dai. Also some of the Spurs players like Xavi Simons and Kudus. But could it just be smart to go for someone like Paqueta lower down in the
Yeah.
price range so you can afford a 10.5 million starting striker for Liverpool who scored over 20 goals last season?
Yeah, I think the money thing is a really important factor. Like this week, I can get I can look at others around that price, but is it going to be more useful to me further down the line when, Arsenal's fixtures are changing soon? Like Liverpool, like are we going to want Isak? There's Haaland to think about. There's so many of those, Saka's fixtures get good. Palmer's going to be back. Like there are so many premium players which we're suddenly going to want that as much as Semenyo might feel like the best option, he's £1.5 million more than Paqueta. I don't know how much I can justify that. Although, yeah, so you've got to look if you're selling Sarr or you're looking for a midfielder, which you buy feels like you have to plan ahead to see how much money you might need.
I mean, does Josh King come into it? Leeds at home this week. It gives you loads of money. Obviously, he didn't score last week, despite winning goal of the month. But
so funny. I don't mind it.
He looks good.
I just don't feel like I trust him yet, though.
Yeah,
I think he's a great pick at his price, and as a Harry Wilson owner, I wish I went for him instead. But the issue is obviously with his minutes, and I feel like his age comes into play at that because he's only 18 and he's playing in the number 10 role, which some would argue is one of the most important positions on the pitch. Can you trust an 18-year-old to start every game of the season? I'm not sure any manager in the Premier League would, but he does look like a top talent at his price. He's more than justifiable, and you can bench him when you want to. So I think what he opens up in terms of budget for the rest of your team, he's a great pick and definitely the best 4.5 million, midfielder / forward in the game.
Yeah, the thing is, like, if you, for example, you've got Sarr and Guiu, you could get King this week, play him for Leeds at home, and then bench him, upgrade Guiu, and kind of move formation. Could be one way to look at it.
You could. If Fulham struggle, he's going to be one of the first names to come out. And I might be wrong, and Marco Silva might love him that much that he keeps on giving him the shot. But for such a youngster to suddenly be like, I can't see him playing 38 games this season.
No, that's probably fair. I think he'll score this week after what happened last time. But...
Well, he might well do, but I still think I'd go Dewsbury Hall or Paqueta first. Him.
That's fair.
And obviously the new transfers that Fulham just made, they signed Kevin from Shakhtar and Chukwueze, who are obviously they're both wingers, but it does open up the likelihood of, my fingers are crossed here, for Harry Wilson to also, he can play in the 10 as well. So
Wilson can play the 10, Smith Rowe can play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe not the best option unless you're moving formation, but
at the end of the day, he's a 4.5 million, as far as we know, starting midfielder. So he is a good pick, but I wouldn't hang my hat on him every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Agree.
Yeah, if you look at his minutes, actually 66, 70, 76, so not that great actually.
Great first bench option though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Teams?
Yes, Harry.
Let's do it.
You're first.
Yeah, so, I mean, it looks all right. 3-5-2 at the moment. Sanchez, Pedro Porro, Anderson, Williams in at the moment, Rogers, Salah, Sarr flagged, Fernandes, Reinders, João Pedro and Watkins. 1 free transfer and 0.7 in the bank. So there are a couple of things that I'm looking at. It's who I sell to buy to buy Senesi. So I can do a Stev to Senesi, and I remember listening to I think it was The Wire in pre-season, and they were all talking about how positive it is to have 5 good defenders, because when you have an issue, you have a good, strong defender, because the DEFCON that you have massively helps out to bench. Like, I could have just benched Palmer for a week if I'd have had a better 4th or 5th defender. So I wonder about doing a Stev to Senesi to get that squad depth. I'd play him this week over Williams. It allows me to keep Williams for the next 2. And then I'd sell Sarr to basically anyone 6.6 or less. So I can't go Grealish, but it would be Ndiaye or Paqueta most likely. That would be for a hit. The only other option is if I sold Williams to Senesi, that allows me to do Sarr to Semenyo. That's the only reason I'd consider selling Williams this week if I decided that Semenyo is definitely the one that I wanted. Because I know we're talking about money, and yes, I think in a few weeks money will be really important, but I still plan in a few weeks and then I'm buying another midfielder in place of Rodgers, and I just think I may well just buy Semenyo in 3 weeks' time. So if I'm going to likely buy him in 3 weeks' time, should I just buy him this week instead? So it depends a little bit. I plan on taking a hit if Sarr's out. It's how much I want Semenyo versus one of those cheaper options, I think.
There's no love for Chris Wood this week.
Yeah,
I could just play Chris Wood. I could. And if Sarr's out for like until the next international break, I'll probably have to sell him. But if he's likely to be back between now and then like this week I can just play Chris Wood away at Arsenal. Next week I can play a back four very easily. Like I got all 5 of my defenders have a good fixture next week. Game week 6, Sarr had Liverpool anyway, so he'd probably be benched in that fixture regardless. So I actually only need the attacker. I mean, I'd play him in 4 and 5 probably, but I don't need them in either week. So the Sarr update, I really hope he's back before the next international break, because I'll probably end up keeping him. And if he is, then I'll just do a Stev to Senesi, I think.
Even if he... Yeah, I don't know, because you could just do Williams to Senesi and then play Chris Wood.
I would do a Stev to... I would do a Stev to Senesi instead, I think. I've got the money for it.
So you want to keep your Forest defender?
Probably. I think the only reason I'd sell Williams is if I wanted Semenyo for Sarr.
Yeah.
There was another world where I did Williams to Munoz and Agbadu to Senesi. Some -4 to play a back 4 this week, but a -4 for Senesi to bench Chris Wood feels like a really stupid thing to do. So that won't be happening, I don't think. So it will either be Estev or Williams out for Senesi, and then maybe Sarr out. It's either Ndiaye or Paqueta, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think unfortunately just the way the fixtures fell for this team that a defensive transfer is definitely the one to go for this week, and I like Senesi. And yeah, it is also unfortunate that like the Sarr situation, you didn't even get to play him, and now depending on how long he's out for, it's a -4. So it's not just that you missed his goal because you benched him, but then you have to take a -4.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is. It is. This is why I'm sat here as about the only person, it seems, on Twitter holding out hope that he might miraculously recover. But it doesn't look that way.
Yeah, Steven.
How would you feel out of interest? Like, let's say Sarr is ruled out until the international break.
That's 4 weeks.
How would you feel on 4 weeks? Like, how would you feel on Chris Wood? Like, how do we feel on him away at Arsenal this week? Because I hate it.
It's not a hate. It's definitely not a hate. You know what Chris Wood can do. He'll pop up and score. Big Ange is in. New manager bounce. A bit more attacking football. Saliba's out. It's not a hate, Harry, for sure.
Maybe I should just play him then.
It's a tough one because you don't want to just bench Sarr for, like you already went through the fixtures and where you wouldn't even play him if he was fit as well. But yeah, I don't think starting Chris Wood is the end of the world this week, but I'm in a similar situation, and I definitely, when I bought Chris Wood last week, I didn't plan at all to play him this week. But yeah, it would just be one player in your team that you don't fancy the fixture for, and he's on penalties, so it's not the worst.
Yeah,
but then next week, though, you're going to have to keep him. You're going to have to keep Sarr because you're going to want to play Wood for 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of... you're a little bit stuck next week, right?
What do you mean?
Because like, why would you sell Sarr next week when you can just play Wood?
Well, because Reinders is away at Arsenal. But
Yeah,
I'll probably play a back 4 because Anderson has Brentford at home, Porro has Brighton away, Williams has Burnley, Agbadu has Leeds, and Senesi has Newcastle. Like, I'm playing a back 4 next week, almost certainly.
Nice.
And if Sarr was available, I'd probably play my bench boost.
Someone in the chat saying Wood to Mateta.
Yeah, Wood to Mateta also gives me the money for Sar to Semenyo. I just need to upgrade my defense. I just feel like that is a bigger priority than
If you did Wood
that.
to Mateta and then Semenyo, would that make bench boost perfect, or you still have Reinders, wouldn't you?
Yeah, the bench boost 5 is interesting because Reinders away at Arsenal, I really don't like bench boosting. And I think Forest score against Burnley. So I probably won't do it next week regardless. And I just bench Reinders. Wood to Mateta, Sar to Semenyo is also something I can afford, yeah.
I think those
I
are
then
good
would
high
have,
value moves.
but then who would you bench? Reinders.
Fair point, yeah. I don't know.
The other thing as well is like I was thinking about Mateta and who does he have playing behind him with Sar and Eze both gone?
I
That's
trust
not
Glasner. Glasner will sort
And
something
and
out.
Wharton.
and Wharton as well. Yeah,
You could go
but it is
Pino,
Sunderland.
Harry.
Yeah, that's
Massive
not happening.
differential.
There's
Yeah,
zero
huge.
chance. No chance. I'm buying Paqueta and Dye or Semenyo if I sell Sar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at. Let's wait and see. Like, can Palace just put some training photos or something? Like,
You can't. It's be 24 hours. It's fine.
I know, but just I can't bother to wait any longer.
I guess you don't want to keep him for price drops as well if he's out for like 3 weeks.
Maybe. I mean, it's only what it's literally like next week. I'm more than happy to play a back four. I feel like I need to get into the mindset that playing a back four in this situation is absolutely fine when I have 4 good defenders. Game week 6, he doesn't start for me anyway, so it's literally just this week. If he's back, he's almost certain to be back after the next international break, but that is 4 weeks away.
Yeah, it's gave me 9.
But even then, like in 8, I don't need him either. Like I would like him, but I know. Yeah, 7 is the one before the international break because Villa have Burnley at home. Reinders is away at Brentford. So I don't know. I might end up keeping him, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Stephen, your teams now.
Yeah, I mean, lots to say about this team. I didn't realize actually I have double Liverpool attack, double Villa attack, and double Palace attack. But Palace was my saving grace last game week as I had a triple, and they were the only 3 players for me to return. But yeah, as you can see, Harry Wilson has snuck his way into my team, and that's only because he looks like me. So so he's
Is
got
this
extra
the running
points.
joke that we're going to get every week now?
But yeah, and also Chris Wood has snuck his way in with the Sar injury. So when I look at this team, I like the defense. I like basically all the fixtures except for Chris Wood, and yeah, Sar is the issue. I think it's tricky because I would love to roll, same as Harry. I would love to roll if we heard Sar was close to returning. But it's just one of those ones where I could also just transfer him out anyways and get him back when I want him. And I think the ability to do that so that I can bench Chris Wood makes a lot of sense to me. And I think I'm in maybe a better spot than Harry because you obviously have to make that defensive transfer. Whereas me, I think I can get away without one. I definitely can this game week. So yeah, Sar, I think it's a lot simpler for me with transfers this game week. It just depends on Sar, and even if I hear that he is slightly, close to returning, I almost would be tempted to do a move anyways. In terms of replacements, I do like Paqueta, I do like Ndai, and I also very tempted by Xavi Simons, but my ethos of avoiding new players to the league is coming in there. So realistically, it's between Paqueta and Ndai to replace Sar,
To then bench.
to bench Chris Wood and start Harry Wilson,
That's
which I know
madness.
you
He's
weren't
not going to
a big
start.
fan of. You weren't
Do
a
you
big
know?
fan of that last week, Tom, and I appreciate that it's a huge risk to start Harry Wilson, but a nice sub appearance against Leeds at home is tempting me.
Yeah.
So my only thought is Wilson to Paqueta. You don't have to do it this week if you want Wilson for Leeds. You could do it next week. Is that not a better upgrade if Sar's not going to be out for months and months?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. I think I could even consider Wilson to king, which seems ridiculous. But yeah, Wilson is definitely like if everyone in my team was fit, like Wilson would be the first one to leave right now. 100%. Even with the Leeds fixture.
What would make you roll if Saar was out for like 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think I would roll then. If he was only out for two, I just feel like rolling a transfer makes sense here because
Mm.
I do have a bit of bench support with like Harry Wilson. That's why he's kind of in my team for to come off the bench in situations like this. And yeah, the closer I get to the deadline, like even if Sarr was fit this game week, I still would be deliberating between the Wilson and Wood, like who to start there. So yeah, I can't make my mind up on that one. But you
Yeah.
guys
No,
think Harry Wilson should be the one that I look to get out if, let's say, Sarr is fit in 2 weeks. Instead of
yeah.
rolling, I could just get rid of Harry Wilson anyways.
I don't think like Paqueta against Spurs is that much better than Wilson this week.
Hmm.
So you could roll and do it next week if you want to take one last punt on Wilson. Like I don't mind that. Um, but I would say that you know the Wilson to Paqueta move is much better than the Sar one if Sar's back before 8.
Yeah, fair, fair. I think I'm gonna stick to the yeah, like you said, playing Wilson this week. It's one last swan song for my doppelganger. I've got to go for it. Might even captain him.
Tom, go on.
Yeah, nice and simple for me. I'm gonna roll. Uh, it should be Anderson, the defender, playing instead of Elliot Anderson. That's a communication error there, but yeah, it'll be 4-4-2 with Sanchez, Porro, Richards, Ain't Nori, Salah captain, Fernandez, Wirtz, Dewsbury Hall, João Pedro, and Ollie Watkins, with Anderson from Forest, Mark Guiu, and Murillo on the bench. On Tuesday, I put Mark Guiu in because I became convinced he'll start, but I've taken him out now because I don't think he will. But yeah, it's pretty simple, I think. 8 Nori over Elliot Anderson, just chasing a bit more upside there, I think.
Yeah, I
And then
think that's fine.
Wirtz his last chance, but I might sell him anyway, regardless next week.
Who would you sell him to next week?
Semenyo, if he
Yeah, I
blanks.
suppose.
He's
Yeah, I
going to
don't
drop
mind
in
that.
price. If he blanks, he's going down again, isn't he? So I'll just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, if he blanks, I think it's fine. If he doesn't blank, presumably you don't do it before Everton, right?
Well, I'll have to see how good he actually looks. I think I would say that.
If you do
Could
sell him for, let's say, someone like Semenyo, what would you be looking to do with the extra cash? Would it be upgrading like one of Dewsbury Hall or Anderson in midfield, or what would you be looking to do? Maybe Gio as well?
Well, if you want to hear my plan, it's 6 is Haaland and Reinders for Salah and Watkins, and then 7 is Guiu to Gyökeres with all that money. And in which case, Dewsbury Hall would just be benched anyway. So, yeah, I need the money to do Guiu to Gyökeres in 7. It's the rough plan because obviously I've
Double
got triple
City in
Chelsea now.
6.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I got triple Chelsea now, so I need to clear the way for Palmer at some stage.
Do you think Palmer is definitely worth the money over Enzo?
Yeah, I think so. Especially for a fixture like Sunderland at home, right, where you're going to want to captain. Because you're not going to captain
Yeah.
Enzo, are you?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's the captaincy. If you were never going to captain either of them, I'm not sure it is.
But it could. But that's the thing. Like maybe I'm just like we're a bit biased, but it could be. That's the thing because he can score a hat trick at any point.
He can,
So it's kind of
but like if you look at Palmer and Enzo's data for the past 6 months,
yeah. But one's got penalties, I suppose.
Hmm.
yeah,
It's a fair question, but I think I'm going to want Palmer back, especially for Sunderland at home.
it's just when I look at the reason I ask is when I look at my team, I will if I want Palmer, I might have to sell Bruno to get to him,
That's my
and
plan
then
as well.
I'm wondering if Bruno and Enzo is a better combination than just Palmer. So I'm wondering. I don't have to make the decision yet, so we can wait and see how it goes for the next few weeks. But
It's that 9
I appreciate.
captaincy though, isn't it?
Yeah. What are the
Is
other
there a
fixtures that week?
world in which you downgrade Verts? Because I know you said you want Gyökeres. I mean, a player we haven't really discussed is Isak, and I just think he should come into, and he will come into all of our thinking very soon
Yeah.
because you know, he's Isak, and we saw what he did last year, and now he has Salah passing him the ball, and I can see Salah's goal output reducing significantly with Isak in the team because he's probably just going to be, he's going to be seeing all those runs that Isak is making and delivering those perfect passes that he does every game. I just feel like he should come into a lot of our thinking. And the fact that you have Verts in your team, if he doesn't play well, it almost works in your favor that you can downgrade to find the budget to get a player like Isak in. But I know you already have a lot of plans for your forward line with Haaland and Gyökeres and whatnot coming into the team. But I feel like we're going to want a lot of premium players very soon in our squads.
So this is the question, right? Which three forwards from 6 onwards are we going to want? And this goes back to what I said before the stream started, Tom, that between game week 6 and 12, Salah and Haaland are predicted to score the same number of points. But Salah takes up a midfield spot, which I'm fine with, whereas Haaland takes up a forward spot, which I feel like are much more precious at the moment. Like, I would love Haaland, but am I going to use 2 transfers to switch Salah and like Watkins to Haaland and another midfielder when I could just go João Pedro, Gyökeres, Isak, or João Pedro, Gyökeres, Mateta?
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, we'll have to see because right now Salah's data is terrible,
Yeah.
and if this continues, I can tell you you're going to want Erling Haaland. Would be my prediction. If Salah kind of braces against Burnley, then gets 10 points in the Merseyside derby, is probably your point about Haaland Salah is probably way more relevant. I think so. I think it's just wait
The
and
other
see.
thing is Haaland has been underperforming his expected data, whereas Salah's been overperforming.
And
And I
Haaland's
don't
is the
see that.
best.
Yeah, I don't see that continuing. I expect Haaland to overperform his XG at some point this season, and yeah, I can see him outscoring Salah based off the large sample size of 3 games that we've seen so far. But yeah, Haaland has looked very dangerous, and I've been very nervous watching every single one of his games as a non-owner.
The way I
But
see
then
it,
you,
like I'm happy to take risks because like I'm wildcarding in 13, I've got 5 free transfers in 16, and I'm going to build up 3 in the next few weeks. So I'm only playing like 5-week blocks. So I'm perfectly happy to take risk. And then if you want to move back, it's a -4 if it goes terribly. And I just think in
yeah,
game week 6 I want to captain Haaland because Salah's got Crystal Palace.
yeah.
Could
But
triple
then like
captain
you could
Haaland.
do Salah to Palmer and like Guiu to Isak, right? There are other combinations. As much as I think Haaland is a great pick for 6, 7, and 8, I mean, I look at both Salah and Haaland and wonder if they're either are worth their price.
I think the data that Haaland's putting up is seriously impressive.
Yeah.
He's got 1.5 XGI more than any other player right now.
But
And as Steven said, he's actually underperforming his data.
I agree, but I just also look at City as a team and still think they don't look quite ready. Like, they don't look back to their best yet. They looked great against Wolves and they created so much of that XG, a lot of that XG in that game. Like, he has had a load of XG, but he scored a tap in against Wolves. The goal against Brighton was very high as well. So I agree that I really want Haaland for 6, but I'm not convinced it's fully worth the 2 transfers in the long term to buy him just for that week, which might mean that we have to free hit in 6 to buy him.
Well, yeah, obviously
For
I
1
don't
week.
have a free hit, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe the best option is to just free hit him for 1. But like I think there's a school of thought that he's better than Salah right now, and that could continue. Like he's cheaper as well. But as you said, I mean Isak could go and blow this all apart. To be fair. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's more the fact that there are so many good forwards and I'm a bit unsure whether I want to take one of those spots up with Haaland.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's interesting. Game week 6 is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or pain. Could be either.
Yeah.
But...
It's the captaincy that week. If you don't have Haaland,
like,
you could captain Palmer at home to Brighton.
4 goals last year.
And like realistically, unless Chris Wood shows something, we're probably not captaining him at home to Sunderland. So Liverpool away at Palace, it is really difficult for captaincy that week.
There'll be a lot of João Pedro captainers, I think.
Brighton, yeah, old club, yeah. Good point.
Anyway.
And everyone owns him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully his ownership... Well, yeah, he feels like, especially with the Delap injury, it's one I'm very happy that I own. Or at least one position I don't have to worry about at the moment. The other thing on Paqueta, sorry, is he did play Wednesday night, didn't he? And
did he
90
start,
for Brazil.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, against Bolivia. High altitude, that. It's a high stadium in the world, you know?
That's the sort of intel we need.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. He feels like he's trying to scaremonger us into not buying him.
No, do some research about that. Players say they have to have like oxygen masks after and stuff. It's crazy.
No way.
And they lost.
Yeah. João Pedro played half an hour.
Yeah, him and Estevaldo didn't start. But we'll wrap it up there. We will be back next week. If you haven't already...
Sorry.
Oh, we do. Yeah. That's right. If you haven't already, while we get the super chats up, please drop a like on the stream. Subscribe if you are new to watching. We are very close to 100,000 subscribers on the channel, so please do both of those if you haven't. Get Wirtz in or Gakpo, and I think this is... I've been trying to decide what's going to happen to this Liverpool lineup now that everyone is back, because Frimpong and Bradley are both now fit. And as good as Szoboszlai has been at right back, I think he'll play a right back at right back. Sounds crazy, but I think one of the two will go back in at right back, which means players are going to have to start dropping out. I think it will probably be McAllister for the Burnley game, because he's played a lot of minutes for Argentina, which means it'll be Wirtz, Szoboszlai. But I think Wirtz is the safest long term, but I'm not sure I feel like it's difficult to buy either of them right now.
I just wouldn't buy... I'd buy Semenyo ahead of both of them. Like, you're just giving yourself a headache.
Yeah. But that wasn't the question, Tom.
Okay, I would buy Wirtz over Gakpo.
It's like this is what they do on Az and Sam do on the Q&A. That wasn't the question. Stop answering a question that wasn't asked.
Wirtz. I would buy Florian Wirtz over Gakpo.
Okay, fine. Play one from Livramento, Reinders, and Joachim Andersen. I presume this is a free hit, but anyway, Livramento probably over Andersen. I'd play one of the defenders.
Really cooled on Reinders.
Yeah, between me, I think it's between Rangers and Livramento.
Andersen. I think Andersen's better than Livramento, isn't he?
Right. I'm really glad we helped that person with their super chat. So
to be honest, I would play Reinders. I would play Reinders, the attacker, against Man United.
Okay. So either Reinders, probably not Andersen, as much as Leeds have struggled to score goals. And the final one, thoughts on Bruno to Palmer for the next few weeks, and then get if I'm wildcarding in game week 7. I mean, we'd have to know that Palmer is definitely available first.
I mean, Maresca's usually quite good. He doesn't usually say we'll see. He kind of says he's back.
Yeah.
Or he's not. Do you think if he's back, he'll start?
Probably.
Because if he doesn't, I mean, it's like... I mean, like, I know I'd say Guiu. It's kind of Guiu or Lavia then, isn't it, if he doesn't start? Whether Enzo's pushed up, put João Pedro 9, or...
Yeah, it probably would be Guiu that plays.
Or Lavia. He could play all three if Lavia's fit, which he's...
Or he plays someone, yeah.
I feel like this question for me is less about is Palmer a good buy and more about is Bruno a sell? Like, he's looked good and I don't necessarily think you should be looking to get rid of him. Unless there's absolutely no fires in your team. You say there's no injuries to sort, so I guess you do have a luxury transfer there. But City and United, I don't think it's an easy fixture to predict. And yeah, I could see Bruno doing something in this game.
I'm not sure I'd go straight in for Palmer this week if you're wildcarding in 7. I think 8 is the time to buy Palmer rather than now.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think that was all of them.
Yep.
So, thank you all very much. We will be back next week to discuss going into Game Week 5 as we get closer to that big Game Week 6 that we're all planning towards. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, please can you do before we head off. Good luck this week. Enjoy FPL being back. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Stephen. And have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.